"Grandma, I'm sleeping with Mommy," my granddaughter whispered, found at her grave. Her dad said she was fine. I didn't believe him. I had to act fast. "I'm Maggie Williams, by the way. I just celebrated my 62nd birthday. It's a common occurrence for folks to mention I resemble Meryl Streep somewhat. My locks have turned gray, yet I feel the lines encircling my eyes are evidence of a life brimming with joy. For more than 3 decades, I was a teacher in the Bronx's public schools. Nurturing young people was the focus of my career. I wrapped up my work 2 years back and now relish a serene existence. Each dawn, I go for a stroll through Central Park. The act of inhaling deeply as the morning sun penetrates the trees gives me a sense of tranquility. I had a daughter named Danny, saying had still stabs at my core. She died a year ago, far too young at 32. The official story was a yachting mishap. Danny possessed intelligence and a kind nature. She was employed on Wall Street, but also dedicated herself to helping disadvantaged kids through volunteer work. Danny tied the knot with Sharon Page half a decade earlier. He was her coworker and looked a bit like a somewhat heavier Brad Pitt. Initially, when I met him, I believed he was a decent man who'd look after my child. They have 2 precious little ones, Anna, aged 5, and Hugo, who's 3. Since Danny's passing, my connection with Sharon has grown tense. When I try to call, he always says he's tied up and ends the call. I hardly get to see my grandkids anymore. The final time was 3 months back, at Anna's 5th birthday celebration. The sorrow in Anna's gaze that day is impossible for me to forget. Each evening, it's become a ritual for me to say good night, gazing at Danny's picture. Instead of weeping, I now sense a vast emptiness in my heart. However, I have to keep going onward. Danny would definitely expect it. Today, it's Sunday. I, like every week, got up early and then headed to Greenwood Cemetery where Danny is buried. The hydrangeas are blooming and the whole cemetery is filled with vibrant blues and purples. Danny adored these flowers while she was still with us. I always say, "How are you today, Danny?" as I walked up to her headstone. Then something strange caught my eye. I saw a small shape in front of the headstone. This can't be happening, I thought to myself. My pulse began to quicken. As I drew nearer, the figure became easier to make out. A pink, somewhat soiled dress with tangled blonde hair. There was no doubt about it. It was Anna. I hurried towards her and discovered my granddaughter Anna was asleep, leaning against Danny's grave, her body resting against the stone. Her clothing was ripped and frayed, and her face and hands were covered in dirt and grass, as though she'd been outside for a long time. "Anna, are you all right? Why are you here?" I asked. I lightly nudged her shoulder, and Anna slowly opened her eyes. Big blue eyes were brimming with tears. "Grandma," she whispered, her voice raspy. I embraced her and felt her little body trembling. "I'm sleeping with Mommy." Those words made me feel numb. While gently touching Anna's cheek, I asked her to clarify, hoping she meant Danny. "Anna, why did you come here? Where's Daddy?" Anna shook her head and replied in a small voice, "Daddy is with the new Mommy." New Mommy? Has Sharon remarried? It's not even 12 months since Danny died, and my mind was racing, full of bewilderment and uncertainties. I kept asking myself, "Where's Hugo? Where's your brother?" Anna said Hugo was with a new woman. Anna wasn't making much sense. Her words were all over the place, making it hard to grasp what had happened completely. Even so, one thing was certain. I wouldn't leave my trembling, distraught granddaughter alone. I told her everything would be all right, that Grandma was here to help. I lifted Anna up, and I was astonished at how little she weighed. I started to wonder how much time had passed since she last. I thought about the last time she had a good meal. Clutching her tightly, I left the cemetery. I didn't have any clue what lay ahead, but I silently vowed to get to the bottom of things and protect my precious grandchildren. Once I got Anna back to my house, a wave of doubt and nervousness washed over me. Anna is now sound asleep on the couch, after a bath and changing into fresh clothes. As I watch her small, sleeping face, I was trying to make sense of all of this chaos. Danny's death along with Sharon's strange conduct. Something definitely felt off. Danny was an excellent swimmer who knew how to handle boats. It just didn't seem like his death could have been an accident. Also, Anna's mention of Sharon being with a new Mommy. It hasn't even been a year since Danny passed away. What's happening? I contemplated calling the authorities a few times, yet based on what's happened, there's not enough proof. Additionally, Sharon is a powerful person in the financial world. Knowing who's involved, things could move at a snail's pace. "Danny, what am I supposed to do?" I wondered, gazing at the picture of my daughter, her face lit up in a smile. Then it struck me. Jack Morrison, he could potentially be the solution. Jack was a pupil of mine 2 decades ago. Although he's now a private eye, he used to be a detective on the New York police force. He gives off an impression of trustworthiness, a youthful Robert De Niro. I grabbed my phone, and after a moment's pause, I punched in Jack's number. "Hello, Jack, this is Maggie Williams." "Oh, Mrs. Williams, it's been a while," he replied. "How can I assist you?" Jack's deep tone calmed my nerves a little. "It's been a while." I quickly laid out the details of the situation and he picked it up right away. I understand. I'll commence the investigation immediately. I will thoroughly examine the specifics surrounding Danny's boat mishap, along with the recent oddities in Sharon's behavior. Hearing Jack say that stirred up some hope within me, but simultaneously worry washed over me, thinking about whatever ugly truths could surface. Jack, I need to ask you something, I told him. Anna and Hugo's well-being is the most crucial thing. If you uncover anything that seems perilous, I need to be informed right away. Absolutely. I will put the children's security first. Also, Mrs. Williams, please be very cautious. The opposing side might be dangerous. After I ended the call, I looked at Anna, who was fast asleep. It's all right, Anna. Grandma will certainly keep you safe, I whispered. That very night, I contacted Child Protective Services and set in motion the steps to get temporary custody of Anna. I want to make sure she's safe right away. However, I'm still concerned about Hugo. I wonder if he's all right as well. The following day, I got the first report from Jack, and the information it contained left me completely stunned. Mrs. Williams, I've uncovered something that's hard to believe. There's a distinct nervousness in Jack's tone. Sharon really was secretly meeting someone. The place was a fancy hotel in Manhattan, the Plaza, period. That information made me feel like my gut was churning. The Plaza is where Danny had her wedding reception. It's a place filled with significant moments. The man she was with is Mark Johnson, Danny's coworker. Mark Johnson. Just hearing that name took my breath away. He's got a young, clean-cut look that reminds me of Matt Damon, and he went to Danny's wedding. I remember hearing. He has a fresh appearance similar to Matt Damon. He attended Danny's wedding, and I recall they were supposed to be very close friends. Apparently, they've been meeting 2 or 3 times every week. Jack kept talking, carefully choosing his words. I investigated Danny's life insurance. There's a huge payout of 500 million yen, and Sharon is the one who gets it. I felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room at that instant. 500 million yen. I didn't realize Danny had a policy for that much. That wasn't the end of it. Jack shared a fact that was even more shocking. I also learned about a charitable organization that Danny was quietly working on, called Danny's Dream. It looked like it was about to get off the ground. Danny's Dream. Tears began to well up in my eyes. That name, it's just perfect, just like Danny. It appears the money for the charity actually came from Danny's own personal bank account. Perhaps Sharon didn't know about it. Everything suddenly started making sense. Danny's unexpected passing, the enormous life insurance payment, and Sharon acting rather shady. Also, Danny's secret charitable endeavors. I spoke. This is Jack. The words were hard to get out. Yes, Mrs. Williams, it's possible we might be dealing with a homicide. Hearing those words, it felt like my entire world was falling apart. However, at the same time, a strong resolve began to build within me. I had to find the truth and honor Danny's wishes. And most importantly, I had to protect Anna and Hugo. That's all I can concentrate on right now. Jack, what are our next steps? First, we'll collect more proof, and we will carefully observe Sharon's actions. Mrs. Williams, please be extremely cautious. We don't know what they might do. After I ended the call, I looked out the window. The New York skyline was beginning to be bathed in the colors of the sunset. Somewhere out there, Hugo must be waiting. Wait for me, Hugo. I'll absolutely come and save you. That night, I couldn't sleep for a long time. As those nights with no sleep continued, Jack's investigation moved forward bit by bit. New details kept coming in all the time. Footage from security cameras, phone records, and a thorough examination of money transfers. These things started to fit together, unveiling the horrible truth. Mrs. I realized we had irrefutable proof, and Jack's voice was practically bursting with enthusiasm. It all happened so fast. We had discovered clues that showed Sharon and Mark had been making changes to the yacht just days before the accident. And then Jack paused just for a second. We also got copies of their emails. These emails held intricate details about their murder plot. The second I heard those words, I felt a piece of me break. My daughter was killed. When confronted with the proof, I felt a huge battle raging inside me. I was scared to accept this as reality, yet at the same time, I desperately wanted justice. I'm determined to uncover the truth for Danny's memory, but would this just inflict even more pain on my grandkids? I wrestled with these conflicting feelings night after night. Danny, what would you advise? Days went by as I stared at my daughter's picture, trying to find the answer. Then, suddenly, a thought popped into my head. Sarah Goldberg, she had been a student of mine a while back and was now a well-respected criminal defense lawyer. She carries herself with an elegance similar to Meryl Streep. Sarah, it's Maggie, I said. Mrs. Williams, it's been a long time. How can I help you? After I laid out what had happened, Sarah quickly set up a meeting. The day after that, we were going over the evidence at Sarah's office. This is, without a doubt, a murder case, Sarah said. However, we're up against someone very powerful. We have to be careful. Sarah's cool head helped me calm down a bit. First, let's have a direct conversation with Sharon, she said. Based on how he responds, we'll decide what comes next. I agreed with Sarah's plan. It was finally time to face the truth, no matter how painful. As I steeled myself for what was about to happen, I gazed at Anna's peaceful features. Grandma will watch over you, even to honor your mother. Then, at long last, the day I'd been waiting for had arrived. A ritzy, fancy restaurant in Manhattan. This was the place where I was supposed to meet Sharon. My pulse was racing, and I inhaled sharply again and again. When Sharon showed up, his expression was laced with derision. What's this all about? Maggie, out of the blue, wanting to meet. Sit down, I told him in a chilly tone. Once we were seated, I slowly withdrew some papers from my purse. Do you have any idea what these are? The smirk vanished from Sharon's face. These are documents about the yacht's alterations, and also the emails between you and Mark. Sharon's face became ashen. What are you talking about? That's enough. I'm aware of everything, that you killed Danny. And why? My hands were shaking as I presented the life insurance paperwork. 500 million yen. Was this your goal? And Danny's dream also stood in your way. Sharon grew more agitated. Perspiration was starting to bead on his brow. No, that's not true, but his words seemed empty. Confess, Sharon, there's no escaping it now. At that point, Sharon's phone started to ring. It was a call from Mark. His voice carried throughout the entire restaurant as Sharon put it on speaker. Sharon, it's done. I'm turning myself in. I can't keep protecting you any longer. The color drained from Sharon's face. Mark, what are you saying? I'm going to tell the police everything. I'm sorry, Sharon, it's over. After the call ended, she said. Sharon slumped back into his chair. Why? My voice quivered when I spoke. Danny was devoted to you. Sharon hid her face with both of her hands. When I looked at him, I felt both sorry for him and furious. Do you know where the kids are? Where's Hugo? Sharon replied in a quiet tone. At Mark's, at his sister's place. Suddenly, the restaurant door opened and the police walked in. Jack came up behind me and put his hand on my shoulder. You did well, Mrs. Williams. As I saw Sharon being escorted out, I let out a huge sigh. It's finally over. Danny, I was successful in bringing you justice. Though I understood this wasn't the finish, but a new start. It was now the appropriate time to start a fresh life with my grandkids. The week after Sharon and Mark's trial concluded, I was present in the Manhattan family court. This time, it was to be given the responsibility of Anna and Hugo. My heart was pounding as I took some deep breaths. The judge carefully studied the paperwork and glanced at me with a skeptical expression. Mrs. Williams, you're 62. Are you certain you're able to raise your grandchildren? I stood up straight and answered in a clear tone. Yes, I am positive. I've been teaching and working with children for more than 3 decades. Most importantly, I love Anna and Hugo with all my heart. During the court proceedings, Dr. Jane Robinson, a child psychologist, testified. Children who have lost their parents need a safe and nurturing place to grow up. According to my evaluation, Mrs. Williams is the perfect person to take care of them. Also, to be certain of what Anna and Hugo wanted, the judge spoke with them separately. When the judge walked back in, I had a tiny spark of optimism when I noticed their more relaxed features. I know the kids' desires were heard. Both of them really want to live with their grandmother. Ultimately, the judge decided to give me custody of Anna and Hugo. Right then, a little bit of clapping started from the people who were there to support me. The day following getting custody, I started to set up Danny's dream. I would be bringing to life the charity that Danny had kept secret. Danny's dream was to offer learning opportunities for kids from poor backgrounds. At the press conference announcing the creation of Danny's dream, I spoke while I was crying. This organization is a continuation of my daughter Danny's dream and her wishes. I want to spread her love and generosity to lots of children. For this new chapter, we moved to a new house on the Upper East Side. It's a lush, green place right near Central Park. When we moved, Anna and Hugo were running around their new bedrooms with pure joy. Grandma, is this our new house? Anna inquired, her eyes sparkling. Yes, this is your new home, I replied softly. That evening, after getting the kids tucked into bed, I stood by the window and looked up at the night sky. Danny, I'll raise your kids the best I can, and I'll make sure your dream comes true. I made a promise to myself that night. On a bright Sunday in springtime, Central Park was filled with families. We were also having a picnic beneath a huge tree. Grandma, this sandwich is so yummy. Really? Hugo asked, his mouth full. That's wonderful, I said, smiling back at him. Anna was busy running after butterflies in a field filled with flowers close by. You could hear her giggles carried on the breeze. The children have noticeably changed so much over the last 12 months. Anna's made pals at school, and she's become quite skilled at drawing. Hugo is still a little bit attached to me, but he's gradually learning to do things on his own. As for me, I've been completely consumed with running Danny's dream. We've already been able to grant scholarships to well over 100 kids since we got started last year. On the drive back from the picnic, Anna took my hand and asked, Grandma, do you think Mom is keeping an eye on us? I paused, looked right into Anna's eyes, and told her, absolutely. Mom is always watching over you. At that instant, I happened to glance up at the sky and spotted a gorgeous rainbow. Look at that rainbow, I exclaimed. It's like a message from Mom. The kids stared at the rainbow, their eyes all lit up. Watching them, I spoke to Danny silently. Danny, your children are growing up beautifully, and your dream is slowly becoming real. I'll continue to move forward, carrying your wishes close to my heart. Leaving Central Park, I knew for sure, there's still so much hope and potential for our future. Holding Anna and Hugo's hands tightly, we stepped out into what was ahead.